Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a little update on what I'm doing right now. I haven't posted some video about programming in a while, so I just want to give you an update what I'm doing. And usually I don't do the visual stuff, so there's a lot of things to see, a lot of animations or something. It's mostly the bone dry stuff like implementing in a web server or even other stuff that I can't remember at the moment, because a lot of the projects are quite old. So this time I decided to go a little more visual, and visual I mean by OpenGL. OpenGL, I read into OpenGL quite a while ago. I think it was 2 years ago, but I couldn't figure out for the life of mine how to do 2 draw calls. So that frustrated me back then, and I think it was about the time when I got a new job and I had other things in my head at that time. So this time I wanted to do it more seriously. I read up ahead. I found the really awesome resource of Learn OpenGL. It's a great website. It's explained in detail. You don't have to know any special math in advance or something. It's everything is explained there, and it has really great code examples. It explains step for step what they are doing, which step is doing, and it you can also, if you are not on mobile, you can hover with your mouse over the code examples and over the methods, and it explains to you what this method is doing, what its signature is, and what its parameters are and how they are used. It has links to other great resources, and yeah, so I've been doing a little OpenGL. I got further in the same project that I started 2 years ago. It wasn't on this channel. It was on my original channel, Operation Darkside, and not on Dark Tech like here. So in short, I tried to program a clone of Minecraft. So the alpha of Minecraft wasn't really that complicated, because Notch wasn't a graphics programmer, I think, so he just experimented with OpenGL. Of course, he used Java. I'm at least in my hobby time, I'm a C++ programmer, so that's differentiate to us, but it's an advantage of mine, because OpenGL is implemented as a C library, and C and C++ work well together with each other, without any additional layers in between. So I got that for me. And before I bore you to death with my talking, let's dive right in. I will make myself a little smaller and put myself in the top right corner, and you don't see any OpenGL code here, because I'm not showing you any OpenGL code yet. That's for another video. I just wanted to show you the result. I think I still have a compiled and working version. I at least hope so. And here you see, let me reach for the controls. We always start inside a block, so yeah, that's not so great. But as you can see, these are a lot, and I mean a lot of grass blocks. This is, I think, 4 by 4 chunks. Every chunk is, at least in my implementation, made of 16 chunk blocks. I called them chunk blocks. It's 16 chunk blocks on top of each other, so we could fly way up ahead because the render distance is set to 100, and we won't see all of them. And there they are. And it's not only that these are 16 chunk blocks on top of each other, but each chunk block consists of 16 by 16 by 16 blocks. So what you are seeing here is a randomly generated amount of grass blocks. And of course you can't see it. YouTube only allows for 60 frames per second videos. I am seeing these, or at least I tried this on my 120 Hertz monitor. It's 144, but I switched it to 120. And I got the full frame rate without major drops. So this renders fine, and this is really the worst case for rendering, because these are randomly generated blocks, so that means there are more block faces to render than in a real Minecraft example, and I'm already getting 120 frames per second on my machine. My machine is the graphics card is a GTX 1070, and my processor is really old. It's an i7 2600K, I think, but it's managing fine. The processor is not on any load or something, and yeah, that's how far I got. And well, Minecraft wouldn't be anything without didn't I see a stutter there? Oh, maybe it was my imagination. And Minecraft wouldn't be anything without the ability to remove and place blocks. On that regard, I didn't get very far, because my math in that regard lags a little. Oh, I see you see fragments of the browser that's in the background that's rendering on itself. I'm sorry for that. That's a Ubuntu problem, I think, or a GNOME problem, so can't do anything about that. The only thing I was able to do is remove a fixed block. So it's this block I'm looking at right here, that's at the center of the screen. If I click and look there, you see a few console stuff down there, and I click here and I click here and I click here, nothing happens. And if I focus on that block and I click, and I can remove it. And the remove, you didn't even see the removal of that single block. Actually, I rebuilt all those 16 by 16 by 16 blocks when I clicked there, and I think you saw nothing. Oh, I think you saw nothing. So that's working great. It's fast enough. The only thing I have is you see these edges on the blocks? It looks really ugly. And I have no idea how to remove them. Maybe it's the texture pack I'm using. I'm using an open source texture pack I got from the internet from somewhere. There are not that many open source texture packs. But the only other thing I got working was a menu screen. At least this should be a menu in the future. As you can see, the background is a little blurry and it's mixed with this white color. If any of you is into CSS or UI design in general, you might know this as the frosted glass effect. It's, let's say, fairly easy to implement with CSS, but not without dirty tricks. The explanation on how I created that that window here and the effects, I'm using a really cheap blurry effect. The next step would be using a Gaussian, I don't know how to pronounce it in English, a Gaussian blur effect. It's known in the graphics scene it's an algorithm how to blur an image, and I'm using it here. No, I will be using it. This is a cheap blur effect I implemented in a fragment shader I saw on the internet. So this will look a lot nicer. The idea I got for the frosted glass effect was, I'm closing the game here, and as you can see, the average frame time I recorded, I don't know if you can read it on mobile, you shouldn't be able to read it, but it's about 8 milliseconds per frame, and that's not the minimum amount of time I could go. I could go way lower. The only thing that's limiting me is what's limiting me? It's the refresh rate of my monitor. The refresh rate of my monitor is about 120 Hertz. So if you do 1000 milliseconds through 120 Hertz, we could do the math quickly. So we do 1000 milliseconds that represent a second, and we have 120 in them. You get exactly 8.3 milliseconds per frame. And coincidentally, my frame times are 8.3 milliseconds. So that's 120 Hertz for you. And it's nice that it's that fast. That means I can push the graphical limits further without losing too much in frames. And I'm not even doing some frustum culling or other special culling methods like occlusion culling, or there are really crazy stuff you can do there. And the frosted glass effect I'm aiming at is the division. I personally don't like the implementation of division. I played the alpha a little. It overloaded my, I think it was my CPU. Was too busy with the game, so it ran hot like crazy. As I said, it's an older CPU. But what I really liked was the UI design. I really, really like the UI design. As you see, all those little widgets there, they are, if they just display some number that's not that relevant, it's not the selected or the focus of the screen. I'm sorry, it's a little bit late of the day. Then it's in just some grayscales, and if you focus on something, it's in color, and you have those green-orange mixes. And I think with the Vision 2, they cranked the what was it? They cranked the fidelity up a little bit. So as you can see here, it's playing with green, orange and blue tones here to set highlights and stuff. And I'm planning on doing that too. So this is a nice sharp image. Yeah, I really like it. It's UI overhaul, I think. Yeah, I really like the UI of the Division. And the Division 2, I think there are some... this one I already had. The Division 2, yeah, here you can see it. It's a little more colorful. But as you can see, the background is blurry, so you can read smaller size text better. And there, I don't know if it's in the game, but when you in the Division went into the in-game menu, the whole map was displayed as wireframe at the bottom of the player. I think that's a really cool feature, and Cube World also has something similar with its map that's at the top right, I think. So it has this flying and rotating map that rotates with you, and displays a rough overview of the map around you. And I think I will implement something similar, but I have other milestones to go through. Oh, here's the Division 2. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. The background here is blurry already, but I think the UI elements have an additionally blurred background. So that's the design I'm going for. Of course, you saw it. It was just a very rough attempt at doing that. An old friend of mine is, I think he does his doctorate. I don't know what it's called. He's going to be a doctor of astrophysics. So I think you can rely on that he knows his math. And I asked him to make me a special equation that helped me efficiently find out which blocks the ray I'm casting for finding out which block I'm selecting to remove it or to place it. And I'm still waiting for him, but of course he has a life on his own, and so yeah, that's another thing to do. And the only thing I'm working on at the moment is try to create a menu that suffices the work it should do. It should wait a moment, I have another thing here. So this is the standard Minecraft menu, and of course you can't play Minecraft without a proper menu. So that's my current goal. So my current goal that I can reach at the moment is creating a usable menu that's where did I want to go with that? Oh yeah, creating a usable menu that where I can store that one block that I removed with that one click, that I can store in there, and not only logical store in there, but also visually store. So what I want to do is just like here that you see the block in itself, but if you hover over it, I want it to zoom out a little and rotate, so you can spectate the block, how it looks. It's a little fancy, I admit, but eventually I need to do something to make my UI react to a mouse hover. And that's why I need a widget library. So each inventory slot will be its own widget, and if I hover over it, it will send some kind of data to the renderer. Okay, please zoom in on the no, on the other way around. Make the block that's represented by the inventory slot bigger and rotate it. So it should rotate with, I think, one rotation about 3 seconds or something. And the same will be transferred to eventually buttons, because in the end maybe you don't want to press the button escape or E to go back to the game, but you want an UI element that's eventually a button that needs to lead back to the game or to the main menu or whatever. And also I can't just copy Minecraft as it is, because if I did, even if I don't take money from the players for playing it, Microsoft will come after me and say it's plagiarism. And I don't want to do that, so I need to make some changes. I will need to make my own textures, because as you saw, I think that texture pack I found on the internet wasn't that great. So I need to make my own sound. So this project will need a lot of work, but if you like videos like this, I hope I can provide you with a little entertainment, and I will create additional videos on how I did some of that stuff, because it was a little bit tricky to get that that frosted glass effect working. So this will be another video. I think I will record it right after this video, so you can click on that one. It should be, at least if you know OpenGL, you will learn something. If you don't know how to do the frosted glass effect from scratch, so you could just copy what I wrote. If some of you are interested, my code is not on GitHub yet, but I will in the future. So I think that's it. I think everything else I have to talk about will be put in other videos. So thank you for watching, and have a nice time, I guess. Bye.